Welcome back. My name is Colton Howard. I am a technical solutions specialist here at IBM covering the Maximo Application Suite. And today there's really three things I want to walk you through. The first is how can we calculate app points in a 7.6 environment to estimate how much we'll need in 8.0 plus as we migrate over to the new version. I'll walk you through how we can calculate that. I'll walk you through how we set it up, install it in a 7.6 environment. And lastly, I'll walk you through how we can calculate those app points and peak usage within an 8.0 environment. So for 7.6.1 plus Maximo EAM environments, we have an application called the App Point Licensing Setup that we built that can be installed to break down peak app point consumption throughout each day. And this can be then used to identify how many app points you'll need when leveraging the new license model. But just as important, it'll also allow you to break down what the peak is and how many reserve app points for admin or product installs or even concurrent users and what type of users they are. So this needs to run on an environment, really on each environment or MX servers, whether that be production or non-production instances. When this logic runs, it categorizes all the users within your Maximo environment as limited, base, or premium. And it does so by looking at their security profiles. It does so by running a minute-by-minute analysis of those logged in, who logged out at any given time, and with MAS 8.0 and above, this process is a lot easier because it's done for you. And it's within the administrative UI. It automatically runs and gives you several visualizations and reports, which is really nice. So I'll show you an example of that in a second, but first I want to show you what this looks like in 7.6.1 and then walk you through how to install it. So this is what this app looks like. So as an administrator, I'm going to go ahead and log into an admin account on the Maximo environment and click into the App Point License Setup application. There's going to be two actions, as you can see on the bottom left, one for app point data collection settings and one for the report. The app point collection setting is where you can then set up the cron task to run the analysis of peak users within Maximo. And the app point usage action will take you to the report. And as we saw the cron task, and now we see the final results. And this gives you peak daily consumption of app points. This is what we can use to then figure out as admins, how many points do we need in our total pool of points for our 8.0 environment. And as an admin, I'll most likely also want to see how does this break down. By clicking the peak users tab, it breaks down the peak daily usage, how many reserved app points for admin or product installs, how many concurrent users, and what type of users they are. So now that we've seen how this works, I want to walk you through what the process is like to install this. The first part of this process, and there's really two parts to this overall process. The part one is to download the file with the application. You can then bring into your environment and following the installation steps that we see here. Here we'll go ahead and expand the file, and everyone, I'll put a link in the description so you have access to this as well. But you'll expand the zip file, put it in the root directory, you'll run the script, redeploy Maximo, and once you're in the Maximo environment as an admin, you can go grant yourself access to the App Point Licensing Setup. You're pretty much good to go. You can go in, begin to work with the App Point Licensing Setup, setting up that cron task to run. I typically recommend clients to run it every 24 hours. and typically at a time where there's not peak usage. So let's say 11 p.m. at night, 12 a.m. and the peak of midnight. These are ideal times to run this. So let's go to part two. So once installed, you will be able to give admins access to this new application. Then you'll go ahead and open the application where you'll see there are two actions that you can take: activating the cron task and viewing the results. As I mentioned before, setting up the cron, we recommend doing this, such as 12 a.m. And when you do the search, the cron field name that's going to pop up is calculate app points. On the left, you can see the result of the application running. We see that the peak usage here was 35 for July 3rd. But what if we want to go ahead and break down that peak consumption further? As an admin, I would want to see what contributed to that total peak. So on the right-hand side is where we can do that. And by clicking into the peak users, we can drill in even further. And as we mentioned before, users are categorized based on their security profiles. We can see both concurrent and reserve points for installed products, which are hard reserve points. So as an admin, I may want to export this to do even more calculations within Excel, such as how many of these are concurrent versus how many of these are reserved. You can do that by clicking this download button here. The only caveat that I'll point out in this process is you can't look back in time, but really only to the days that the cron ran against. So you can't look back, for example, to 2021, only the dates in which this application was running. But this gives you, but the reason why this is still valuable is because it gives you the most recent and relevant estimates of peak usage, which is really what you need to begin to map out how many app points you need. Now, moving on to Mass 8.0, this comes built in. This is really a easy one-step process of clicking into the admin application and reviewing the report. It's as easy as that. And we're going to go ahead and walk you through what that looks like. This allows admins to really, at a click of the button, have access to all the information I just showed you that we had to pull from that application in 7.6. It'll calculate the peak usage automatically. It'll give you any overages. And here we see me logging into my environment as an admin, clicking the license consumption within the administrative portal. And right off the bat, we have the calculated peak usage, any overages. We can see what the entitled capacity is for this environment. As we scroll down, it breaks down the concurrent versus reserved points for you. And just as importantly, it can map these changes over time, both graphically and in a tabular format. And we'll see the tabular version in a second. And here we can see over the different months, how is this peak consumption changed? And as you can see, if you were to click into each month, that would have a breakdown of each of those months. But it's also worth pointing out, let's go ahead and go into the license consumption. It allows you to also set governance over if you allowed your instance to go over overages. Ease of access to your licensing key file and SLS, but it'll also tell you what your concurrent entitlement is and when the expiration date is as well. There's also an export function that we see here that you can drill in even further. I don't necessarily see a lot of clients using this at this moment, but that doesn't mean it'll change in the future. But as you can see, this process is a lot easier with 8.0, as are a lot of other functionality within within Maximo. But that's all I wanted to show you guys today. Please feel free to reach out to me via email or write in the comments. I'll do my best to reply. I'll also link the file for the 7.6 application that you can download and bring into your Maximo environment to do that peak usage analysis. But with that, have a great day and look forward to talking to you guys in future videos and conferences.